Cookup. So, hello everyone. I am your host, Sam Love, with 1881 Media, and this is the Cookup. We're here with Queen Lina Maria, one of my favorite folks.
Oh, you're one of my favorite folks. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, you're a supermodel in Broward.
Oh, man.
Give us a little background about Lina.
Thank you. To be honest, I started modeling when I was 19, and a lot of people don't know that I really started from the dirt.
Okay.
Like, I started from the bottom of the bottom, like with the earthworm's bottom. Like, I started from the dirt, and it happened accidentally, really. Like, I always grew up, like, people always told me, like, as a kid, like, especially in Japan, because I was always taller and slimmer, like, you'd be a really great model, whatever. And one of my homegirls, who was also my roommate at the time, this is when I lived in Fort Myers, okay? There's nothing going on in Fort Myers, let's be real. I went to FGCU, and, I just went to have that college experience because, when I was younger and when I was in high school, I wasn't cooped up in the house. Like, I couldn't do nothing. I didn't really have a life. So went up to college, did that. And she actually had a photography class. And she's like, I want her to take pictures of you. I want you to be my muse. And I was like, all right, cool. So eventually she started editing the photos. She would send them to me and I would post her work, of course, on Instagram. And people loved it. And then eventually started branching from there. Photographers in Fort Myers would start following me. They would hit me up. I did a few music videos out there for like my homeboys trying to be like artists and whatnot. Shout out to Lorenzo, actually. He's the first person I've ever been like a music video for, so shout out to him.
All right.
And that's where it kind of branched off. And then by the time it was my junior year of college in FGCU, I started getting more photographers following me from like all of South Florida, Fort Myers, Broward, Miami. And I remember just driving back and forth every weekend from Fort Myers to Broward to Miami and back and forth again and again.
Right.
And just kind of went from there. And then after that, I actually worked at a studio for a while. And my best friend put me onto this. His name's Carlos.
Really?
Shout out to Carlos. His name is Raven. And he put me onto this studio. And I started working there. And I actually accidentally got casted into a Rick Ross music video, the Florida Boys one. I wasn't even supposed to be in it. I was just there helping one of the guys that was playing. He was playback.
Okay.
So I was helping him. I was supposed to help him with wires. And they're like, hey, you want to be in this? Like, we don't have enough girls, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of just branched off from there.
So you were in a Rick Ross, but like, I never knew that about you. Like, wow, That's big. So, we got to go back and review that so we can check that out. Folks, you need to check that out for sure. All right. That's good stuff. So you mentioned before Japan.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Japan, or?
My mother's originally from Japan. I'm half Japanese.
Okay.
And she was born and raised there, but I would just visit every summer with her since, God, when I was a baby, probably.
Okay.
Since I could, I could remember.
Okay.
Every summer, it was a thing.
Cool enough.
Yeah.
So the modeling industry in South Florida, like being a photographer and a creative person myself, I know it can be a beast. You know what I mean? Ups and downs and all kinds of stuff. Like, tell me or tell us, like, what has been like your experience as far as like a South Florida model? Like, how do you feel about the scene? And,
I mean, the scene, I feel like at the end of the day, like, there's room for everybody. There's always room for everybody. But I feel like I don't really fit the stigma of like a South Florida model. I'm not full Latina. I'm not like super curvy. My body's not done. I feel like in Miami, modeling is like, it's more like an urban modeling type of thing. And I don't fit that category at all. I'm Asian, I'm mixed, I'm taller, I'm slimmer. Yeah, I have a few tattoos. I don't really fit that stigma. I mean, I feel like I'm in my own category. You know what I mean? I don't really fit into the modeling world in South Florida. I mean, I admire it, I love it, and I support all women, but I just don't fit into that category. Personally, I don't think I fit into that category.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've created basically your own lane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, something I think that, should be admired because, it's one thing, again, when I first met you, with the shoot that we did, I just admired, one, your confidence, and two, like your hustle. You know what I mean? So your hustle, and then, because, to be honest with you, we just did the first podcast with Nicole, and I met Nicole through you. And then, a lot of people that I've been communicating, myself with, other models wouldn't have been, connections of yours. So that's good. So that's a good segue into the Queen and her baddies.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So ironically, that was actually just like my personal Instagram page.
Really?
So I had like my main modeling page, Queen Lina Maria, and then I just made like a random page where I could just post whatever I wanted to.
Okay.
And then my homeboy actually said, Zay, he told me, he's like, you should make a collab page. So instead of posting like all your work with models that you post on your like main feed,
right.
you know, focus that more on yourself and make your own collab page. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I made my personal page into my collab page, and I posted, you know, all the work I've done with other models, and it's just been like a really big hit. And that's also where I do all my promo, and I shout out all the models that I've worked with or that I follow. And like, I've been getting a lot of love, and I love the fact that like, usually on my main page I have more men that follow me, but on my Queen and Her Baddies page it's even. I have 50% women, 50% men following.
That is interesting. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think I show a lot of love to the models in Miami, and a lot of models in Miami don't do that. I feel like they're very like secluded within themselves, and I'm not like that. I'm not a hater, you know, and I want to show love. I feel like everyone can win, and everyone has, you know, room for the table to eat at, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I have no problem showing love to other women or any models and like promoting them and just like, you know, supporting them, because I feel like people in South Florida need to do that.
Yes.
Other cities like besides South Florida, like in Broward and Miami, they show so much more love than we do, and I feel like that needs to change. That stigma needs to change. So
right.
I definitely want to be a part of that. Even if my platform isn't as big,
right.
I still want to make something, you know, something of a difference compared to, you know.
That's big, and you know that's something that I really did notice within looking at your page. You know, it's like you put a lot of people on. Like recently, there was a photo shoot that you did, and there were a whole bunch of new faces, younger faces. It was set out in, I'm not sure what the location was, but it was like it's like a pool and some rocks, and then there was like a whole bunch of different people that I had never seen before. Like were those people that you were just brand new that you met?
They're my homegirls. They're my homegirls, and they're my homegirls that want to try modeling, and I want to put people on. I want everyone to win. So if my homegirls want to try it, I'm like, do it. I'm all about it. And most of those girls, to be honest, have never modeled. That was their first photo shoot.
Really?
And then there was a few models out there that have done it before, and you know, they've modeled, of course. And there were some girls even that didn't want to do it, but I encouraged them. I'm like, look, do this. Like, you know, just I want you to feel confident and empowered within yourself. And I feel like a lot of women also feel very insecure, and they, you know, like you guys mentioned earlier about the social media, you guys see all these perfect people,
yeah,
so, you know, quote unquote perfect people, and you feel bad about yourself. And I'm like, nah, like you're gorgeous, you know, show it off. And then like most of those girls didn't even have makeup on their faces, and they were strutting it, first shoot, strutting it, working it. I'm like, this is awesome. And that's what my page is about. I want people to see the variety of different shades, shapes and sizes, ethnicities of all women, and appreciate it, because I feel like there's just this like specific stereotype. You have to look a certain way to be considered, you know, beautiful or gorgeous. And like we all look different for a reason. God made us all different for a reason, and we need to, you know, really appreciate ourselves and like be comfortable in our skin and just appreciate who we are as people inside and out.
100%. That's awesome. And you're exactly right. It's like, you know, the, you know, around South Florida, it's just like, right, you know, it's a stigma. You got to look a certain way. And if you don't look like that, then a lot of people don't try. And then it's like, you know, who knows what you might branch out to, you know, into, or who knows, you know, what connections you might make, or who you might connect, you know what I mean? Just by putting yourself out there and just taking that first step. So, you know, and again, another segue into like, I've seen you do so many different things for so many different brands, like around it's South Florida. Like, what do you think has probably been one of your most successful pairings, or one of the most successful things that you've done in your modeling career?
In my modeling career, I honestly, the fact that I was able to get booked for like really big music videos, I think is super dope. Like I've like never in my life would I have thought, like even as a young kid, like me and my best friend would always watch like music videos and be like, that'd be so cool if we were able to do it.
Right.
And now I'm doing it. So it's like crazy. I like manifested it into the world. And back then I was actually reading this book called The Secret. And whatever you say into the world, like you're putting it out there. And I really put it out there. And I think that's so dope. And I get to do this podcast with you. I think it's so awesome. I get to like kind of be more like emotionally vulnerable and just speak about myself and like not be afraid to like put that wall down. I think it's super cool to do that.
You know, that's big because, you know, and, you know, people appreciate honesty. You know, they you know, they appreciate you being genuine, and they want to see the real, you know, and just like even today, like you're here without makeup, which I think is awesome. You know what I'm saying? But most people are like, oh no, I can't go on or whatever. And it's just like, there's another side, like there's a reality to who we are and whatnot, you know? So that's awesome. Tell me about like also now, like, what's been like the hardest thing you've had to deal with, or like a hardship that you've had to deal with in the industry?
And I feel like because of the way I look, I don't get booked for certain like gigs, you know what I mean? And like I used to get booked more frequently for music videos like back then, but I feel like now I'm just doing more photo shoots instead of getting booked for music videos and whatnot. And just because of the way I look, I feel like I don't really fit that stigma like I mentioned earlier. Like I don't really get that much like as many gigs as I should for music videos from like more like famous artists, because I have local artists that pay me more than I would get paid for bigger artists, you know what I mean? Which I think is really messed up, which I think is kind of interesting in my opinion, because when local artists, when they want something, they're hungry for it and they want their vision to come to life, so they're willing to, pay whatever just for your time to be there to look good and just like sit in their music video, you know what I mean? So I think it's like kind of ironic in a sense. It's very interesting.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then what advice would you give to someone who just feels the same way you do? You know what I mean? And that, hey, I think I want to do this, or, like what advice would you give them?
I would say just go for it. Just go for it. You never know how it's going to work out. You never know how it's going to play out. And if you believe in yourself, I think you should definitely just go for it and do it. Don't feel discouraged. Just keep going. Be consistent and slay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's what's up. What's up? One thing that, again, I think is really good about you is you have a natural way of developing your own brand, which I think is really, really important. Like, what could you tell, the folks out there, as far as it going beyond just taking a pretty picture and just building yourself as a brand, you know what I mean? Because you definitely have a brand. What would you tell, what advice would you give, to aspiring models out there on brand building?
I feel the main thing is definitely be creative. Don't be afraid to go over any boundaries to be different. Just be creative, be consistent, and don't be afraid of anything, and be confident within yourself. That's what I do, honestly. And be open-minded to different ideas, and don't stay in like one specific lane, because I feel like in Miami specifically, it's mainly known for like sexy shoots. You could be sexy, that's totally fine, but once they find that niche, people just tend to stick with it, and I feel like you should always branch out and do something different.
Okay.
Don't just stick to one thing.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, like, what do you like to do? Like, what's your favorite type of shoot, or what's your favorite type of event? Because I've seen you do runway stuff, I've seen you do photo shoots, I've seen you do video stuff. I haven't seen any music video stuff, and now I definitely have to look that up. Like, what's not your favorite to do?
My favorite? I definitely love my photo shoots, and I love my runway shows. Those are my favorites, because I feel like within my photo shoots, you can definitely see, like, just within my facial expression, like how happy I am. You could see like my emotions, and I tend to not show my emotions at all. But I really don't. I'm very like neutral. I try to stay like just zen, I don't really like to show as many emotions, but depending on what shoot I'm doing, I feel like you could see through the emotions, and like I'm actually having fun when I do shoots, and like even when I get to like when I think of my own ideas and I get to bring that to life, that's like my favorite thing. And then of course I love walking on a runway and just slaying and just showing off these looks, and also supporting other designers, I think that's super dope.
Who are some of your favorite local designers that you work with?
Embodied by Nicole, obviously. And I'm super proud of her, because her brand just recently launched a few months ago, and she's growing rapidly. She's already doing, her fashion shows, her website launch, like she's killing it. And obviously I love her. I love her hustle, and like she's just so open to helping people, and I think that's really, really dope. Tony Visions,
Yeah, that's big, man.
I've worked with him before, and he's actually the first person that actually put me on to being on like a fashion runway show.
Really?
He's the first one, and I'm really thankful for him, because honestly, like I feel like without him, I wouldn't be able to like get other opportunities to walk for like fashion shows and whatnot.
How did you connect with him?
It was through DM, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, like we followed each other on Instagram. He asked me, he's like, have you ever done runway? And I was like, no. He's like, okay, well, you're going to today. And I was like, oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
It went really smooth, but he's a nice guy, man. He's dope.
Okay.
Yeah, and his clothing is really nice. I actually bought a jacket from him, like at a shoot one time, and I was like, this fits me too good not to buy it, so I just bought it, and he And yeah, it was it.
And see it, again, like that goes back to, something that we were talking about before as far as just lip service. It's like, all right, there's so many people or so many models or just people I've dealt with as well that will come do a shoot or whatever, and then they won't come back and support you on the tail end of it. But for you to, to link up with a guy, he's got awesome stuff. Like his stuff is awesome. To do it, you feeling it. You know what? Let me buy this. Let me, let me put back into your brand because you're putting it into me. That is huge. You know what I mean? Because we got to support each other as entrepreneurs and just as people. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Who are some of your favorites? Like you like to do photography. Who are some of your favorite photographers to work with?
You, of course. I love doing video work with you. I think you're so creative and you're very like smooth with it. I love working with Mars and Fleazy. That's probably my home team for sure. Art by Mars. Art by Mars and Official Media Bullies. I love them. And obviously I love working with C. Hardy. His name is Chris. He has some of the cleanest work ever. He's phenomenal. I love working with him. I have so many. I'm trying to think. They're all like running in my head right now. Another guy named Chris. He goes by CT Photography. He's amazing with beauty shots.
Familiar with him? Yes.
Gorgeous shots. And Alvin. I love working with Alvin. Free Money and BL.VVK. I think that's his ad name, but his name's Aaron. All three of them are so dope. And I love working with all of you guys because each of you guys have such great quality work, but you all have different styles and you bring it out within your photography. And I think that's so dope. And I adore every single one of you guys because you guys have such amazing, clean work. And it's great. And y'all just make me look good, man. Y'all make me look great.
That's the game. Thank you. Cool enough.
Yeah.
So, speaking about photo work, tell me about watermelons.
It's one of my favorite fruits, man. So actually another photographer shot by Rogue.
That dude is a beast.
He's sick with it. I love him. Yeah. His work is very, very clean as well. Very model-esque, musy. It's just very glam. It's just, he just kills it. He's so great with it and I appreciate him. And he's the one that actually came up with the idea of it. He showed me, a few examples of what he wanted and he actually showed me a picture of one of my homegirls, Sharon. She is the CEO of Elu Agency, which I'm also, yes ma'am. Elu Agency, yes. But she's a part of that and she's obviously the creator and he actually showed me a photo of her like with the watermelon and whatnot. And we also got inspiration from Zoe Kravitz. Yeah. And she did one with an apricot or a plum, I believe. But he's like, this is the kind of vibe that I wanted to go for. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And we did it. And it was great. You know what's crazy? That shoot was so quick. And we only had to take like 30 to like 40 photos. Wow. And it ended so quick, but we got so many great shots. And that same day he got to editing and everything happened and those pictures, like everyone loved it.
How could you not? How could you not? Like, it's just like, it's, the thing I like is, you got, you're sexy, but then you're tasteful. You know what I'm saying? And, it's not like, you're trying to objectify yourself and those things, you know what I mean? So, and then even within that shoot, if you do it right, it comes off so good. But then, again, he's just a beast. I love his work too. So that is it's just fab. It's just fab. So, you have a new website, I believe, right?
I do. And guess who helped me with it? Embodied by Nicole. All right. She's, she's my manager. I call her that literally. Yes. And I remember one time I posted it on Instagram. I was like, yo, I need a manager because I like double, triple book myself and I forget I do that. And I'm like, crap, like I got so much going on. I need to get organized. I need to start doing more, and I've been talking about getting this website done. God knows how long, a couple years maybe. Right. And she came along, she's like, me. And I was like, for real? And she's like, yeah, I'll help you. I was like, all right, cool. Within that same day, she got me my booking email. She set so many different things up. She already had like a baseline for my website already. We had FaceTime calls and that was like our way of like, business meetings and whatnot. Nice. And within that same week, we started making that website. She's like, you can get this could be your domain, this is how much you have to pay, like boom, boom, boom. It's just like this list goes on and she's efficient and quick with it. And I was like, all right, perfect. Within a couple months, the website was already up and here we are.
What's the website?
It's Cookies for Lina. nicole.excite.com.
All right. And speaking of Nicole and management, what would be the difference, like the major difference in you working without a management and then working with someone, like Nicole that's managing you now? Because I can speak to that, myself. Like I recently added, a good friend of mine, Latoya Henderson, who is, helping me manage my stuff because, my admin is just trash. But, and it just is what it is. But she's a beast with it. So tell me, like, what's the difference between having Nicole as your manager and then not?
She's so organized. She helps me organize my life completely. I have a planner now, I separate my schoolwork and like my school life and my modeling and then like how we set everything up together. Like she's definitely helped me get a lot more organized, and she's very quick and efficient. Like when we do stuff, we get it done quick, and I like that because I don't like waiting. I'm so impatient. Like a lot of people think being impatient is such like a negative trait, which it can be sometimes, but I see it as like, look, I'm impatient. I want something and I'm going to get it right now. Right. And I'm not letting nobody stop me.
Awesome.
No one's getting to me. So that's how I see it.
That is fantastic. Yeah. So, what have you got going on for the future? What are things that, you know what? Before I ask that, let me ask you this. You mentioned that you are a student. So you're a full-time student.
Yes, sir.
And you are majoring in nursing. Okay. So you're a full-time student. Mm-hmm. And like, I would assume you're employed some kind of way.
Yeah, I'm a makeup artist.
Okay. All right. Very, very good. So you're a full-time student, makeup artist, and I'm like, how do you fit all of those things in one box and you're able to do everything, like you pull off everything like effortless? Like, how do you do that?
My planner. No. Honestly, I really don't know how I do it. I really don't. I make it work. I really do. I know my schedule from school is Monday, Tuesday. In between the week, Wednesday, Thursday, I have off, and I like to focus on studying with that. Mm-hmm. Friday, I have class 1 to 4, and then after I'll study some more. And weekends are dedicated to, my modeling. And every Saturday night, I'm booked because I have clients for makeup. And even in the morning, I actually had 2 clients yesterday, 1 in the morning, 1 at night for makeup. And yeah, it's just like, I make it work because all these things I love doing, and it's not like it's a chore for me to like go to school or go to a shoot or do someone's makeup. None of it's a chore because it's something I genuinely love doing, and I just make it work because I love it. These 3 things I love. So, and I just like branching out and being creative, like being like a jack of all trades, you can, when you live in Florida, you just grow this type of hustle in your blood, you know?
You have to though, down here. Yeah, you'll get eaten alive. Mm-hmm. Florida has eaten many friends of mine. I can tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's gonna work.
So what should we be looking out for from Lina in the future?
I have a lot of group projects coming up.
Okay.
I have a lot of group projects, group photo shoots coming out, and I'm really, really excited about it. We're gonna slay 100%. We're gonna look so amazing. Everyone's gonna look so different, but beautiful. I have a few photo shoots coming out too that I have done like a couple weeks ago and last week as well. Mm-hmm. My makeup page is up and running.
Okay.
My website's gonna be updated soon. We're gonna add new photos and whatnot. It's gonna be really dope.
Nice.
And yeah, just keep in touch. Like, just stay tuned. There's so much going on, and of course we have this podcast coming out too.
Hey, 100%.
Stay tuned.
That for sure. So, if you want to look into the camera and tell the people, what you need to tell them.
Honestly, stay true to yourself. Be you. Enjoy life, and don't ever give up on your dreams, and don't ever feel discouraged, because at one point in my life I felt extremely discouraged. I was like in my 20s, like late 20s, like about to be 21, and it was the most frustrating point in my life because I felt like I was really not doing anything because I wasn't in school. I was just like trying to do these photo shoots and music videos. But I definitely feel like you wait your turn, and it happens. It's gonna happen. You manifest it, you keep talking about it, you work for it, it's gonna happen. So don't ever get discouraged, and just keep working. And yeah, just don't ever get discouraged. Be creative and keep working, and you got this.
Nice. So your social web?
Oh, my social media. So my Instagram is at Queen Lina Maria. Queen Lina is spelled Lina, Maria Maria. And then my Queen and Her Baddies is Queen and Her Baddies, Baddies. And then my makeup page is Makeup by Queen Lina, spelled the same way, Lina. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, well, cool enough. Well, I tell you, we appreciate you coming. We
I
appreciate you
being
bringing
here.
the call. We appreciate the hookup.
Thank you.
And that will be a wrap for the Cookup, episode 2.
Thank you.
Coming at you. All right.
Get ready.
The Cookup.